Hey friends and family, my name is Skylent, and if you followed me for a long while, you know that I used to play a ton of massively multiplayer online games, and in recent years, I've not done that as much because the genre kind of sucks, and games that I used to love, they're not the same games anymore. Looking at you, World of Warcraft, and a lot of the new upcoming games that we were so hyped for, New World, turned out to be poopy dookie, but there are a few that actually have risen from where they once were and they're better than ever, and there's some that have just consistently actually still been just amazing for the past couple of years, and then there is a couple of newcomers that are definitely worth looking at, but really it's just a handful, so this is going to be a top 5 sort of video that I'm going to be ranting out. These are the MMOs from somebody who loves the genre but kind of hates the current state. This is the MMOs that are legit probably worth a little bit of your time, maybe for some people. So yeah, that's going in with a little bit of cynicism, but I think a lot of you guys are as well. Let's try to have some fun. Let's keep the hype alive. So to start out this list, we have ZENITH: The Last City, which is actually kind of an honorable mention here at number 6, but it's overall got very positive reviews on Steam. I normally, for the past couple of years, just wouldn't talk about VR games because not many people had VRs. Until the Oculus Quest 2, until I got my own. Basically, everyone got one this holiday season, and it's been amazing. Gorilla Tag is stupid fun. Oh my god, VR chat is always a hoot and a holler. But ZENITH: The Last City is the first VR MMO that people are kind of like, okay, I can see where this is going. Now, it's an honorable mention because we can see where it's going. It's not quite there yet. It's still early access. It's $30, still for a platform that not everyone has, and there's still some mechanics that are a little awkward that needs to be ironed out. And plus, it's just, in general, just a really kind of out there game. It's very different from most MMOs, but there is some interesting stuff here. Watching some videos, you can hear the VR community really enjoying this title, and so I myself have to get excited. I think there are some interesting mechanics here. And overall, if you haven't played a VR online experience, do it, because having voice chat does change things around, and being able to interact in a virtual reality environment does incorporate, I think, more social aspects that we're generally missing actually a lot in MMOs. So honorable mention here, maybe later this year this will really be worth digging into, but for now just keep your eyeballs on it. Now, probably starting the list, number 5, I guess, is Swords of Legends Online. This is a title that I really skipped on because I really felt like it was totally supposed to be a free-to-play game. Now, it is free-to-play. Now it is worth playing. But even before it was free-to-play, it actually did have mostly positive reviews. It wasn't pay-to-win. It still isn't pay-to-win. Will not be pay-to-win. It's just a very different game. So here's some problems that you're going to come into when you play the game. Translation's garbage. The story is probably really far-fetched, especially if you're used to Western storytelling and Western fantasy. Chinese mythology is like really out there. It's crazy ridiculous, sometimes including hundreds of characters over like thousands of years. It's intense. Otherwise, this is just a really fantastic wuxia style game that we haven't really seen in a long time. Since a good one, I guess, Blade and Soul, kind of. There was a game called Age of Wushu back in the day. That was the first game I ever played, actually, an MMO on YouTube. So, Swords of Legends Online. I was really looking forward to it, but I wanted it to be free to play, so now it is. It's a really under-the-radar game that a lot of people are going to overlook, but I think it's worth checking out. And definitely, if you want to run through it for a weekend or a week with some friends, definitely one of those games you can have some fun with this really unique setting. And legitimately, like, it has some interesting boss encounters, and according to the updates, you know, they're updating the end game and people are taking that seriously. That should, I think, excite people who just want to run through a game, have some challenging content, and enjoy themselves, even if it is limited. This game at least does have consistent updates so far, and going free to play, hopefully there will be more, and regardless, it's still a fun game to one and done. And next, without any sort of contention, I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys would be like, yeah, this is a game that everyone's playing. Actually, I need to play more of this, but Lost Ark, right? Lost Ark is a game that we hyped up for years and years and years. It looked gorgeous. It finally released, and actually, to acclaim. It's one of the most popular games on Steam. It's overwhelmingly, like, reviewed pretty freaking decently. I think some people just have some awkwardness. It's a little polarizing when it comes to the questing, and then as well the end game. So the end game is like legit, like for real, seriously, like it's a meme how intense and complicated some of the encounters can be, and at the same time, like the leveling is, well, you know, you've played some of these action RPG MMOs before, it is what it is, but some people kind of like it, actually. So depending on the type of player that you are, do you like the grindathon all the way up to the end game, and then the end game being really challenging? Kind of reminds me of Terra, right? Like the Terra had like a really awkward, like kind of whatever leveling, and then you get to the end game and it's like, what the hell? I have not prepared for this. So if you kind of like that, if you enjoyed that action combat that's truly ridiculously action-based, Lost Ark is there. Now, is there some pay-to-win concerns or whatever? That's like super debatable, but at least that, you know, at least it's debatable and it's dubious to an extent of like, if it's cut and dry, black and white, well, we're making progress. So yeah, Amazon Games, their other MMO is not even worth talking about, sadly, but Lost Ark definitely is worth trying. Even if it looks like a game that you normally would pass, like maybe you like more immersive titles or something like that, this looks more like Diablo. No, trust me, you're gonna have some fun with this game, probably. Jump in with some friends. And halfway on the list, we have Albion Online, another isometric action RPG inspired MMO, but instead of being focused like Diablo, even though there actually is some legitimately like fun Diablo-like PvE elements that a lot of people overlook, Albion is a PvP game. So this is my favorite PvP MMORPG, and I appreciate it for every reason that it exists. You know, it doesn't just have to be the Zerg or, you know, MMO PvP. I love the dueling PvP. I love the ganking PvP, small squads 2v2 stuff like that. There's like some Dark Soulsian invasion dungeon stuff going on. Like Albion has so much more to it than people give it credit for. So you really need to give this game a shot, especially because it's ever increasing in popularity, ever expanding in content, and more than ever, it's more beloved, not just from its hardcore PvP community, but just from everyone. It's played on now, you can play it on mobile, they're getting controller support now. It's just really just genuinely a very good MMO that I think over the years is going to age like wine. I think that this game is going to evolve, and it's even competitive. They have seasons where guilds can kind of win and get fame. It's really incredible. And again, I do want to stress that the PvE content from solo to dungeoneering squads, you know, the holy trinity like support system, tanks and DPS is, I think, really actually complex, way more complex than most MMOs. But regardless, Albion Online, not just a hardcore game, it is hardcore. There is that content for you, but you can also play it like Farmville. You could just play it 1v1. You could just play it kind of how you want. It really is a true sandbox MMO. People need to respect it for what it is. And last year was an amazing year for updates for Albion Online. So this year is just, it's hitting a stride. It's an amazing experience. Let's all jump in together. Definitely, I'm going to be streaming this game. We're going to play it together. Let's do tournaments and stuff. I don't care, man. Fight clubs, it's going to be fun. I am so salty over this next game, but it's Final Fantasy XIV. I've got strong feelings about it. I just uninstalled it, but regardless of my own personal taste and opinion on this game, I just feel like it's expensive and it's more of a JRPG than an MMO, debatably even an MMO. But one thing that I can appreciate about it is the fact that it is a JRPG, it is a story-based game, so almost for all time, always, this game will be worth playing in any year. Because unlike World of Warcraft, all the expansions are relevant. Like, you're gonna be leveling and running through all of the expansions, running through that story, and it's all cohesive, you know? So it's a JRPG that you just pay MMO prices for. And you know, you can play with friends, you can, I don't know, not really co-op, but the end game dungeons is just super exciting. And we got a new expansion. This is an end game focused game at the same time as being story based. So you can run through all the expansions, then you do the end game content, the trials, and you kind of one and done it. So you don't have to stay subscribed. You don't have to, you know, pay this crazy price and just stay subscribed for the whole year. You can run it down and do the trials, do the end game content, have your fun, and then go play some of these other MMOs on this list. But that's kind of why it's number 2. Final Fantasy XIV is like in a really weird spot of how you play it, the lifestyle of Final Fantasy XIV and what you want from an MMO. If it even is an MMO, it's just, you know, for me, my taste, really slow paced with the leveling. It gets better and better with time, and especially the end game content. And we did just get this new expansion. Hype is real, but it only lasts so long. So that's why it's number 2 versus my bias for number 1, which is Guild Wars 2. Guild Wars 2 is also literally kind of the same thing as Final Fantasy XIV, except you don't pay a subscription fee for it. So it is a game that you buy the box, you run through the expansion, and bonus points though for Guild Wars 2 is you could choose which expansion you want to buy and play through, and you could just do that if you want to, you know, just run through, do Path of Fire if you want Heart of Thorns, or now End of Dragons. End of Dragons, very well received. Again, this game and all these games are being overshadowed by, every game in the world is being overshadowed by Elden Ring, but Guild Wars 2 is still really exciting. And I think it's a game that just for so long has been in the shadows of the colossuses that have now Final Fantasy XIV and World of Warcraft and big names like, Elder Scrolls Online. But Guild Wars 2 is such a unique experience that when you really get into it, you see that there's so many special things to it. Yeah, I'll admit that Guild Wars 2, it's a theme park, so you do a little ride, and then you go and do a totally different kind of ride, and then you go and do a totally different kind of ride, but it is a proper theme park. It is not one single roller coaster. There's so much that you can do. But Guild Wars 2 with this new expansion has expanded the end game. The challenge factor in it, even in the open world content, is probably bigger and better, more definitively, massively multiplayer than any other MMO. So for that, it gets my number 1. Even though these expansions are very separate, even though this game is very fragmented in a lot of ways, even though this game isn't as big as it could be, technically, objectively, in terms of what makes an MMO special, Guild Wars 2 does that best. With limited time events, with these big, awesome seasonal contents, with the open world gameplay, giant boss fights and stuff like that. And I really do actually appreciate their class designs and their specializations. I think there is a lot of customization and fun to be had here. Yeah, it's not as competitive as it should be, could be. There's a lot of things that are missing from Guild Wars 2, but in terms of definitively what makes an MMO, Guild Wars 2 is, in my opinion, the champion. It is the number 1, and with the new expansion, of course, it is the MMO that I think you should be playing personally. And that's pretty much it. Those are my 5 games plus 1 honorable mention, the MMO that you should be playing. But this list is kind of also created with the idea that you're gonna probably want to play all of them. This is for people who love MMOs and you want to experience all the different kinds of content that you can have. If you notice, all of these games are pretty radically different. And that's for a good reason. None of these games are really worth playing every single day non-stop, especially if you just in general love MMOs. Go play Guild Wars 2, the new expansion. Once you're done with that, go play Final Fantasy XIV. If you need your PvP fix, Albion Online's got you. Need an action RPG grindathon? Lost Ark. So run down this list, play them, balance your gaming MMO diet, and have some fun. These are the ones that you should be playing. And any that I don't mention, I genuinely, honestly think are completely not worth consideration. That is to the cruelty that I've made this list. That is my honest opinion, and that's why I wanted to slap this out. Every other game, maybe you could try it, sure, but is it worth your money? Is it worth your time? I genuinely don't think so. I think all of these games on this list are uniquely fitted to actually give you some education, something new, something special. I hope you have fun, keep the hype alive, friends and family, and I'll see you again next time, especially if you get on my Discord. Subscribe so that when I go live, we can play these games together. That'd be great. All right, much love. See you in the next one.